Hello and welcome to the January 2026 Patreon question and answer videos where I answer questions being asked over on the Patreon. So as I make these Drawing Machines 101 videos here on YouTube, I wanted a better way of sort of corralling questions and building up the community, and people also wanted to be able to support me in different ways. So I've set up a Patreon for that. And each month, about halfway through the month, I open up a post where people can leave comments, asking me questions about the videos, about drawing machines, about pen plotting in general, my process, what it's like being an artist, how I run the studio, things like that. And then I do my best to answer them at the end of the month in a video. That's what you're watching now. I've already made a couple of videos and they're over on Patreon, but I figured it'll be interesting to start posting them to YouTube. So hi, welcome to the first one. Okay, one more thing. Also, each month I also create artwork in the first half of the month, and I send those out to the supporters, and I try to record some video footage and talk about that a little bit. I'll drop that at the end of the video where I explain Patreon just a little bit more, and you'll see what I'm on about there. So, I think, quick housekeeping note, the video about pens and paper, that was supposed to be out last week before this video, so if you're subscribed for the tutorials, it might be a little bit weird seeing this drop into your feed, but it was supposed to be before. Instead, it's going to be next week instead. It just got a little bit slow over Christmas because things were super busy, but we're back now. We're on a roll now. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's answer the first question. All right, we've got 3 questions, 1 comment I'm going to reply to. I'm going to try to answer 2 of the questions quickly and 1 of them a little bit more in depth. Let's go for the first one. What recommendations of ink do you have to use in fountain pens? Searching specifically for black, the famous white and vibrant colours. Let me go through this slightly backwards. I would say for vibrant colours, just go for whatever fountain pen ink you can get your hands on. They're all pretty good. The problem generally with fountain pen ink is it's not light fast, which means it's going to fade. So it's really good as a stunt ink. So if you get shimmering stuff or like sparkle, shimmer, sheen in it, it looks really good in videos, really good in photos. But if you try to sell it, that ink is probably going to fade. I would suggest Artemis document ink. I don't have any here, so I'll put up the name on the screen. That's the ink I'd suggest for fountain pens. But the black that I use is this one here, which is Noodler's The Heart of Darkness ink, which is called an eternal ink. It's really dangerous, which is why I've got skull and crossbones on it, because it just stains everything. It's kind of like a permanent ink. They call it forgery proof. Weirdly, it's not waterproof. What they mean by that is if you try to wash it away, it still leaves some of the ink there. So that's the black ink that I use. The famous white ink, again, fountain pens use dye-based ink, which is liquid, so it can pass through. Permanent inks and whites use lots of particles, so that's why they're permanent, but that also clogs up your pen, so you don't really get white ink in fountain pens. But what I do is I use Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and then Noodler's UV ink, and I do a ratio of about 50-50, but you might need to do 60-40 or even 30-70, so that's using this whiteout ink and UV ink, and that'll give you a liquid enough white ink that also pops slightly, that will go into a fountain pen ink. It will kill your fountain pen. I've sacrificed a couple of fountain pens for it. You need to go over a couple of times. Maybe you can save your fountain pen if you wash it out and wash it through with water straight away. So that's what I do with white. But again, recommendation, I say go for anything fun, colourful, bright, vibrant, because it won't be light fast. So take photos of it, make a print out of it, but just accept that it's going to fade within about 12 months if it's in sunlight. So that's it for fountain pen inks. Let's have a look at question number 2. So a follow-up. Especially after all the NFT market crash on maturing, aspiring artists lost the view of what can be the several revenue sources they can aspire. As an established artist, can you provide some info on a rough percentage of revenue per source? Not asking for the values. Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a cop-out because I am an established artist, but most of my income now currently comes from my day job or my main job that I kind of do in the afternoons. You're right, diversing income streams is the correct thing to do. Not just trying to make your money or selling pen plots won't work unless it's just an extra little bit of income. A single income stream is really ropey and dodgy. I've made a video about this before and I'll do it again. My main view is that it's very hard to scale up pen plots because of the length of time they take to do. So if you managed to produce one a day and you sold one a day, that's only 20 in a month. And if you went, well, I need $4,000 a month or something like that, that means each one is 4,000 divided by 20, 200. You'd have to sell one a day for $200 to get yourself 4,000. It's very difficult to do. Whereas prints, selling a print, open edition or limited edition, can scale up more. So I would say 20% from pen plots, 10% from pen plots, like 30% from prints. I'm doing YouTube now. I don't put adverts on my videos. YouTube puts adverts on the videos. I don't monetize my videos, but I do for the tutorial ones. As I make more of them, I expect that revenue to increase, but it's not very much at the moment. In the future, I might sell a course teaching people how to do things. I'm giving this one away for free. It's an introduction. Maybe I'll do an advanced course. Patreon is also helping as well. So I would say pen plots, or just split it 20%, pen plots 20%, prints 20%, money coming in via sponsorship or ads from YouTube 20%, Patreon 20%, and then selling digital courses or something like that. Okay, I think the cars have finished beeping now. So that's not a very good answer. Before, when it was NFTs and digital, I was getting about 50% of my income from actually doing commissions and ghost coding for other artists. That's still possible now, but I don't do that now. So not sure if that helps you, but that's what I do. All right, let's go on to the third one from Oliver. Hi, Oliver. Thinking about your coding workflow, do you have boilerplate code that you reuse each project? If you do, what is it and why? If not, do you start from scratch for every project? And is that liberating? I guess I'm thinking more boring utilities like environment, GUI helper functions, etc., rather than creative reuse and iterations, perhaps. But hey, what's your take? That's a really good question. I use boilerplate all the time. It isn't somebody else's boilerplate. It's code I slowly built up over time. But I would say, actually, maybe a good way of explaining it is I have 3 different types of boilerplates. I will show you here. So the first one, and this is on my website, revdancatt.com/penplotter, or penplots, I think. I'll put the link down below. So if we just do a quick view source on this one, we will see, and it's not open source, but you can just dig in here. I have line as a JS, particle as a JS, values, page, and in page I've got a whole bunch of functions that control creating a page, putting a canvas onto the page, adding lines to a page, doing layout stuff. So I've slowly built this up over time. And this is so I can do things in the browser like this, where I change all the settings here on the front end. So if I want more tiles with less lines, I can just keep redrawing, and it allows me to change all the values here. I'll talk about why I do this in a little bit. Another version I do is where it has a web page and a canvas, but all the values and settings, instead of being those sliders, are in the back end in the code. But under the hood, it's using lots of similar functions, but this is ever so slightly different. It's not geared towards allowing me to modify values quite so much. And the third one is directly in code, which again, I'm reusing some of the functions. So this has got the same type of thing, like laying out, drawing the canvas, downloading the SVG, setting up the canvas, but it hasn't got a front end element to it. But it's still including things like pathing functions and page sizes. And then when I run it, it's just run on the command line and saving out the SVG, so I can automate that thing. But I would say they evolve over time. So I started off needing a few things, and then I'll just copy and paste them from one project to the next, and then to the next, which I think is a fantastic way of doing it. And then it gets kind of too big and you go, I'm using these all the time, I'll put them into a library and keep reusing it. But I don't think I have a boilerplate that I haven't altered or touched or adjusted for different projects in different ways. But it is a time-saving one. Obviously, the counter-argument is if you're using your own boilerplate, you can end up stuck in a design space. And it's nice to start afresh sometimes. But even then, I end up just copying all the functions over. It's a good question because in these tutorial videos, we're going to be starting off with just a very simple HTML page and it generally just spitting out the code with no previews. And then we're going to move to having a canvas page where we can see what's happening, and then we're going to add some GUI elements so we can start moving things around. But I don't want to jump straight to this because it's a little bit intimidating. So my view is anything that saves you time, but don't be so precious that you don't copy and paste things and then just mangle things, because creating the artwork is more important than engineering excellence and things like that. I think that's basically it. So that's the more in-depth answer. I think I've got one more from you, Oliver. Let's have a look. Okay, this one here. P.S. Love the mini blog, but is there an RSS feed or an Atom feed? Well, it's funny you should ask, but because you asked, I have added right down at the bottom here, after all these cats, there is now an RSS and an Atom feed. For people that don't know, on my website, I've added a mini blog, and all that is when I feel like it, I can go and I can add an entry to this, which accepts a title, one image, and then some text, and that's it. But it's a way of me capturing what I'm doing without using Twitter or another social media tool where the algorithm is going to try to grab my attention. But it allows me to still publish things. I've also got projects. So if you go to the projects page, I also post what I'm doing and what I'm up to here. And just for fun, I've also added, so this is about what I'm doing on the drawing machine. Let's go down to the bottom. And I have added pagination. I've also added an RSS feed and Atom feed onto these two. But again, I want somewhere that I can put my photos that aren't Instagram, so I can have more control over it. And then at the end of the day, if I've taken any photos, I decide which of my projects I'm going to add it to. So it could be studio, zines, and I'll create a new one of these, but it just allows me to have an archive of my photos that exists online that will be backed up, but isn't Facebook or all the other things. I like to be intentional with my time and not get drawn into that world. So this is part of me trying to escape from Instagram. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see at the end of each month, I pick 10 photos, and I'll normally just go through my webpage here and see what I've done over the last month and pick my favorite 10 photos and then post those to Instagram. Yeah, the mini blog is kind of my Twitter replacement. So if you want to keep up with what I'm doing, it's not supposed to be anything special, but that's where I do it. So thank you very much for that question. I think that's us done for questions. All right. And there we go. That was some of the questions that were asked over on the Patreon. So quickly, why Patreon? And I think I've heard it explained best by Van Nyset, who said, Patreon is my office hours. As I publish more and more of these Drawing Machine 101 videos, I'll get questions scattered across all of them, like all over the place. So Patreon is the place where I can say, this is where questions go. I know it puts a little bit of gatekeeping around it, but it also allows me to avoid burnout. Like I said in the Q&A part, it allows me to be in charge of when I choose to intentionally interact with the internet rather than being drawn into the algorithm and all sorts of different platforms all over the place at any time. So when you see people say Patreon allows you to support creators, for me that really means supporting artists in protecting their time so they don't go insane. And I think managing time is the important part. Anyway, how it works. At the start of the month, I announce what the theme is. Here's the other start. What the theme is for the month, which is supposed to be related to the Drawing Machine 101 videos we're making on YouTube. But because we're still in the introduction stage at the moment, we haven't moved on to code and actually drawing stuff. We're just picking different themes each month, something fun. So through the first couple of weeks, I post updates. So update 1, minor update, update 2 about what's going on, and we have a chat about that. And then in the middle of the month, that's when I ship out the artwork to all the supporters. After that, in the second half of the month, I open up a post here where people can ask questions about the Drawing Machine videos, about what I've just done, or in general about creative coding, pen plotting, my process, being an artist in the studio, all that type of stuff. Then on the last day, or thereabouts, I'm recording this yesterday, and when you see it, I look at the questions and then I record my answers, I put the video together, and then I publish it all in one go. See, very time focused. This month's topic was brushwork, asemic writing, and you know what? Here's a little mini video of the artwork that was for this month. And we've been playing with some Troublemaker ink and some Pilot ink here, and the stuff we're using at the moment is this Night, which is like a shimmer glitter ink, which is really good. So while that's going there, over here we've got some previous ones that have been done using a slightly different algorithm, and these are going to be cut down into postcard sizes. The other thing that I've done for the postcard exchange is I've made these postcards here, again with brush strokes. I'll drop in some B-roll footage. Let's compare that with that. You know what? That is not bad, all things considered. This over here on the left is a not bad preview of what we're going to get on the right. Okay, so if we do some more. So these are all the different types of things. Let's do some more for fun, see how we get on. These being plotted, but these are really nice, and again it's got really lovely ink in there, glittery ink. Not all of them are, there's some that are just using normal brushes, and I've got a whole stack of these that have just been sent off, or I'm posting off later today. So that's what I've been doing for the Patreons. All right, well that's kind of nice. If you want to get involved, hop on over to the Patreon. There's more details over there about all this, and in the links down below. You can pop in like just a month if you want to ask some questions and then drop off again, or stick around. It's entirely up to you. So that was it for the January question answer video. There should be some more drawing machine videos between now and the next Q&A. We're back on the roll, so I will see you next time.